You know that question you're not supposed to ask out loud, the one that creeps up at random moments. You're unloading the dishwasher, sitting in traffic, scrolling through LinkedIn watching people half your age celebrate promotions you used to care about. And the question whispers, what's the point? Not in a dramatic, life is meaningless way, just quietly, persistently. You've done the things, raised the kids or didn't, built the career or tried, paid the bills, showed up, kept going, but now you're staring at the back nine of life and the scorecard doesn't look like you thought it would. And worse, you're not even sure what game you're playing anymore. If you're 50-something and asking yourself, what's the point of getting up tomorrow? You're not depressed. You're not ungrateful. You're just awake. And Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who had every reason to think he had it all figured out, was asking the exact same question at 52. Let me tell you what he figured out, because it might be the only thing that actually helps. Here's the thing about the what's the point question. It doesn't show up when you're 25. At 25, the point is obvious. Climb the ladder, build the life, get the house, make the family, prove yourself. The point is forward momentum, and forward momentum feels like purpose. But somewhere after 50, the ladder ends, or you realize you've been climbing the wrong one. The kids don't need you the same way. Work becomes work. The body starts reminding you it's not permanent. And suddenly, the question you never had to ask becomes the only question that matters. What's the point of this next decade? Or 2? Or 3 if I'm lucky? Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, what we now call Meditations, at age 52. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not morbid, just honest. He was the most powerful man in the world, Emperor of Rome, and he was still asking, what's the point of today? Because power doesn't answer that question. Neither does success. Neither does having achieved everything you thought you were supposed to. The point has to come from somewhere else. And Marcus spent the last years of his life figuring out where. Let me be clear about something. Marcus Aurelius was not living his best life when he wrote most of Meditations. He was in his 50s and 60s, leading a failing war, watching soldiers die, dealing with plagues. His wife may have been unfaithful. His son, the one who'd inherit the empire, was a disaster waiting to happen. And his body, chronic pain, likely stomach issues. The kind of aging that reminds you every morning that you're not who you used to be. Sound familiar? Marcus didn't find purpose by winning. He found it by redefining what purpose means when winning is no longer the goal. And he left us 3 strategies, not theories, daily practices, for people who are asking, what's the point, and need an actual answer. Strategy number 1, the useful to the whole reframe. Marcus wrote, stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? In other words, if you died tomorrow, would you be devastated that you can't keep doing whatever you're doing right now, unloading the dishwasher, attending that meeting, watching that show, most of what fills our days we wouldn't miss? And that's the problem. We're spending our limited time left on Earth doing things that don't even pass the would I miss this test. Here's the practice, the Marcus useful to the whole audit. Every Sunday night, look at the week ahead, everything on your calendar, every commitment. Ask one question, does this make me useful to the whole? Not does this make me money? Not does this make me look good? Does it contribute something, anything to the people, the community, the world you're part of? Marcus defined purpose as usefulness, not achievement, not status, usefulness. Here's what that looks like today. You're not the boss anymore. Fine. Can you mentor the young guy who's struggling? Your kids are grown. Okay. Can you be the steady presence for your aging neighbor who just lost her husband? You're retired. Congratulations. Can you volunteer at the food bank or teach someone to read, or just be the person who remembers people's names? Usefulness doesn't require a title. It doesn't require being the best. It just requires showing up and asking, what's needed here that I can give? That's the point. Not what you achieve, what you contribute. And contribution, even small, quiet contribution, gives you a reason to get up tomorrow. Strategy number 2, Seneca's time remaining exercise. Seneca, Marcus's philosophical predecessor, watched wealthy Romans waste their final decades chasing more money, more status, more things they didn't need. And he asked them, "Why are you living like you have forever?" He wrote. "You live as if you were destined to live forever. You never think of your own frailty. You don't notice how much time has already gone by." Ouch, but fair. Here's the Seneca practice for finding purpose after 50. Do the math. Actually do it. If you're 55 and you live to 85, you have 30 years. That's 360 months, about 10,000 days. If you're 62 and you live to 80, you have 18 years, 216 months, 6,500 days. I'm not saying this to depress you. I'm saying it because vague time feels endless. Specific time focuses the mind. Now ask yourself Seneca's brutal question. What do I want to do with the time I actually have left? Not someday, not when you retire, not when things settle down. With the actual numbered days remaining, write it down, be specific, not travel more. Where, with whom, not spend time with family. Doing what, how often, not make a difference. In what way, starting when. Seneca would say, if you're not doing it now, you're probably not going to do it. And that's fine, but then stop pretending it's important. The point isn't to do everything. The point is to do the things that matter to you while you still can. Because 55 is not the same as 35, and 70 is not the same as 50. Your time is finite. Let that be clarifying, not terrifying. When you know how much is left, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. And that right there is purpose. Spending your actual remaining days on what actually matters to you. Strategy number 3. Epictetus's play the part you're given. Epictetus was a slave who became a philosopher. He didn't get to choose his circumstances. And yet he wrote, "Remember that you are an actor in a play, the character of which is determined by the playwright. If short, then short. If long, then long. Play your part well, that's your job. Casting. That's someone else's job." Here's what that means for the what's the point question after 50. You don't get to choose what role you're in anymore. You're not the rising star. You're not the young parent. You're not the one with endless potential. You're the older person now. Maybe the retiree. Maybe the one with health issues. Maybe the one who didn't accomplish what you thought you would. That's your role. You didn't choose it, but it's yours. And Epictetus would say, stop auditioning for a different part. Stop wishing you were 30 again. Stop resenting that you're not who you used to be. Your only job is to play this part, this older, slower, different version of you really, really well. Here's the practice, the Epictetus role acceptance. Write down the role you're actually in right now, not the role you wish you had, the role you have. Examples: I am the person in my 60s with a chronic illness. I am the retiree with a modest income and no big plans. I am the parent whose kids don't call as much as I'd like. I am the person who didn't achieve what they hoped to. Now ask, how do I play this role with dignity, humor, and contribution? Not, how do I escape this role? Not, how do I pretend I'm someone else? How do I be this person, this specific, limited, imperfect person, in a way that's worth doing? Marcus wrote, perfection of character, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. Play your part, the part you've been given. Play it without pretense. That's the point. So here's what Marcus would tell you if you asked him at 52. What's the point? The point is not achievement. You've probably achieved enough, or you haven't, and beating yourself up won't change it. The point is not happiness. Some days will be good. Some will be hard. That's just life. The point is usefulness. The point is spending your actual remaining time on what actually matters. The point is playing your current role, however unglamorous, without pretense or apathy. You want to know what the point is tomorrow. Be useful to someone. Acknowledge your time is limited and spend it accordingly. Show up as the person you are now, not the person you wish you were, and do that job well. That's it. That's the whole philosophy, and it's enough. Marcus Aurelius died at 58, on a battlefield, sick, exhausted, his empire crumbling, and his last words reportedly were, "Go to the rising sun. I am setting." He didn't say, I wish I'd accomplished more. He didn't say, what was the point of all this? He just set like the sun. Knowing he'd done his part, you're not setting yet. You've got time, not forever, but enough. Enough to be useful, enough to matter, enough to play your part well. What's the point after 50? That's the point. If this helped you see the question differently, maybe even answer it, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. This channel is for those of us in the second half, asking the questions nobody wants to talk about at dinner parties. We're here every week. No gurus, no nonsense. Just old philosophers who knew what it's like to wake up and wonder what the point is. And if you know someone, your age, older, younger, who's quietly asking that question, share this. Sometimes the most useful thing we can do is remind each other, you're not lost, you're just recalibrating. Tomorrow morning, ask yourself Marcus's question, am I useful today? If the answer is yes, even in some small way, that's the point. See you in the stillness.